One. All right. Welcome back to the First and Goal podcast. My name is Lewis, and next to me is my beautiful co-host, Mr. Laraib. And we are super excited to finally start getting in to the week one slate of games. Before we hop into it, I want to let y'all know that we are now on TikTok at the First and Goal pod. So make sure you check us out. And if you're here from TikTok, hello. We post a lot of really good content, a lot of fantasy stuff, start sits of the week, certain players that we like, and then maybe some betting advice, things like that. So just stay in tune. It's lighthearted. It's a lot of fun. Anything else you want to say about that?
No, we're gonna have all our social media links down in the description. So if you want to see us on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter, be sure to follow us on there. We'll keep you up to date on what's going on with the pod and what's going around the NFL. But besides that, just a few programming reminders for this. We're gonna be doing our picks for the week, and we're giving you some advice or what our thoughts are gonna be on the games for this week. And then at the end, we'll also be giving you our upsets and locks of the week. And then a new segment that we're adding for this season is going to be our bet of the week. So stay tuned at the end of the episode for that, Lewis. But let's get right into it into week one.
Yeah, and then also just in case you missed it, in our last episode, that was the first one of this season. We talked about the Bills and Rams game and some other season long things. So if you missed that episode, go back and check it out. But Laurent, I think we are ready to start getting into things. So we will start in with my favorite team, the New Orleans Saints, traveling to Atlanta. The Saints are favored by 5.5 points on the road. And I think the big thing here is two quarterbacks, Jameis and Marcus Mariota, that maybe you don't have the most trust in. So it ultimately comes down to what these quarterbacks surrounded with. Jameis is surrounded by a gluttony of weapons, three great receivers, a great running back, good offensive line, and a great defense, while Mariota is surrounded by some young talent for sure, but a lot of less desirable pieces in this game. I think the big thing to look at in this game is going to be the Saints defensive front versus the Falcons offensive line. And I think that's the biggest advantage for the Saints, in my opinion, in this game on the road. Despite not having Matt Ryan back there, Cam Jordan will be sacking a Falcons quarterback this week. He's always done it. He always will do it as long as he's on the Saints. And I like the Saints in this matchup.
Yeah, I know. I'm Lewis. I'm gonna have to agree with you. There's not gonna be much to look at in this game. The Falcons really have a depleted roster. Not the team that they once were, especially with Matt Ryan no longer at the helm. So look to see Mariota going at his younger targets to see what they can do. And maybe we might see some Desmond Ridder action in this game, or maybe it might be a little too early in the season. And for the Saints, it's just going to be ball control. Let's see how Michael Thomas and Jameis Winston have what connection they've built over the summer, and let's see if they can start the season strong. But I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to take the Saints in this one, and I think it's going to be a very easy week one victory for them.
Yeah, and my final score prediction, I'm going to go with the Saints winning this game 28 to Falcons 13.
Yep, and I'm going to go Saints 28 to Falcons 10. But moving on, another 12 o'clock game, we have the Indianapolis Colts visiting the Houston Texans. Indianapolis -7 in this one. And, I think it's going to be Matt Ryan's first game in this Colts offense. And we know they have a good offensive line with Jonathan Taylor leading the running back group. I know a lot of you guys picked him number one overall in your fantasy football groups. And I think that's what they're going to be doing most of the game. I know their head coach came out and said, we're not going to have Jonathan Taylor be, have as many, carries as last season. But I think they're still going to have to get him involved in this one, especially when they go up big later in the game.
Yeah, this is a game that you'll probably see a lot of rushing in as the Colts are going to jump up on the Texans early. I wouldn't sleep on the Texans in this matchup just because it's a bad team that doesn't know they're bad yet. They go into all preseason, and just like fans can be irrational sometimes about their teams, players can be as well. So I would expect a really good punch from the Texans, and let's see if Frank Reich and Matt Ryan, new quarterback over there, can take that initial punch and weather the storm. They have the better team. They have the better talent. Don't overthink it. Colts are going to get their first win of the season on the road. I have them winning not really a close, it might be a close first half game. So if you want to bet like a first half spread, I would recommend that. But they pull out in the end. Jonathan Taylor kind of puts on his Superman cape, and they're going to win this game 34-17.
I'm going to agree with you, Lewis. The Colts will win this game I'm going to say it's going to be 28-10 Colts.
All right. So moving on now, another 12. We have the 49ers traveling to Chicago to face the Bears. San Francisco is favored by 7 points. Rob, I want to ask you, in this battle of rookie quarterbacks alone, just the rookie quarterbacks, which quarterback is going to have the better game? And will that decide this game?
I mean, that's hard to say, Lewis. I know Trey Lance, he has a lot better options, in my opinion, on the offensive side of the ball. You know, Deebo Samuel breakout season last year. Brandon Ayuk, we've seen a lot of his chemistry with Trey Lance over the offseason. And then, you know, their sophomore running back, Elijah Mitchell, who had an amazing rookie year last year. I think their offense just has too many weapons for Trey Lance to mess up with. And, of course, George Kittle. I know his availability for that game is up in the air. But even if he doesn't play, I feel like they have a lot better weapons for Trey Lance, at least. You know, for the Bears, Darnell Mooney is good, and Cole Kmet is good, and David Montgomery is all right. But I think what's really going to hold them back is the field from Justin Fields, or the play from Justin Fields. Is he going to be able to keep up with Trey Lance? I know this is going to be Trey Lance's, you know, maybe his third or fourth starting game in the NFL, but I feel like with Kyle Shanahan, it's going to be a little bit difficult for him to mess up as it is going to be for Trey Lance, or excuse me, for Justin Fields.
Yeah, I think Justin Fields, in my opinion, might have the better game just because he's going to be asked to do a lot more. And, you know, the way this offense is structured, they have David Montgomery. I think he's a good running back, but their offensive line really isn't that great. And a lot of it is going to be them coming back down versus a really good defense where Justin Fields is going to be out of the pocket a lot, trying to do a lot of superhero things on his own. And Trey Lance is quite in the situation. He's going up against a young defense. They have some pieces like Roquan Smith who are still there, but not really that much talent on the front line. Robert Quinn is also a good defensive player, but he's going to be put in a lot better position to win this game. So that's why I think the 49ers are going to win this game. I think it'll be closer than people imagine. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, but I do have the 49ers going on the road and beating the Bears. It's going to be 21-13 49ers.
Yeah, I agree with you. The 49ers look like they can easily win this game. I know it's going to be a ground and pound game for the 49ers, and they might not score as many points as people think. And I'm going to take the 49ers 17-6. But moving on to another game, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers visiting the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati minus 6.5 at home. Lewis, let's talk about the Steelers quarterback situation a little bit. Mitch Trubisky has been named the starter. How do you feel about that for the Steelers?
I think it's the right move. You bring Mitch in, and he's kind of, even though he is still pretty young, he is the veteran quarterback in this specific situation. So it would be a lot worse. So you bring in the rookie. You would like to have a rookie quarterback learn from the veteran and kind of see the reps, see the field, see how he manages the game. So when eventually the Steelers' plan is to move Kenny Pickett in, and for Mitch Trubisky, then he needs to learn under him. You'd rather not have Kenny Pickett go out there and make a fool of himself, and then you bring the veteran in. That's just a much worse look, in my opinion. So I think they might made the right move here. And in this specific game, it's going to be hard for either quarterback to play against this Bengals upgraded defensive front. They still have Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard, DJ Reader. Their linebacking core is solid. This overall Bengals team is just top to bottom a better roster than the Steelers. Even though I really like the Steelers defense, it's going to be a really hard time for the Steelers offense to keep up. So I think the biggest thing in this game is going to be, what can this young offensive line prove to the NFL going up against one of the better defensive fronts in the NFL? Can the Steelers hold up? I don't think they can. So I do have the Bengals winning this game.
You have to agree with you. The Bengals, a lot of people say coming off a Super Bowl loss, a lot of teams have Super Bowl hangover. And, you know, this is a divisional game and a really tough division. A lot of bad blood between all those AFC teams. But I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to take the Bengals in this one. I think, you know, their offense is just, or the Steelers offense is just not going to be able to keep up in this one. So give me the Bengals 31-14.
Yeah, and I have the Bengals winning this game pretty convincingly. I'm going to have them winning 25-11. Moving on, and that's scoregami, by the way. So keep your mind out for that one. We have the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Detroit to play the Lions. Philadelphia is favored by 4 on the road. A lot of road home dogs, which is very interesting to keep an eye out on because usually that ends up favoring the home team. But in this instance, you have the Philadelphia Eagles, a lot of preseason hype going for this team. I am aboard that hype train as well. So I want to throw you the question, Laraib. What have the Lions done in this offseason, and what can they do to make this a game in which they could win?
Well, during the offseason, they drafted Aiden Hutchinson, and their head coach has had a lot of enthusiasm into this team. They've really come together as a unit. You've been watching Hard Knocks and watching this team grow over the offseason. And that's what it's going to take to beat this Eagles team. I know they don't have the best roster, but it's going to take a lot of heart. It's going to take a lot of fight to beat this Eagles team, who has an amazing roster. I think that they're going to do it. It's going to be on the ground with their running back tandem in DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams. If they're able to control the pace of the game, running the ball, and then passing it whenever they need to their to wide receiver Among Us St. Brown, and they're able to manage the clock and manage the ball and keep it away from Jalen Hurts and that offense, then they might have a chance in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest difference in this game is going to be the quarterback play. I think both fronts are pretty good, offensive and defensive lines for both teams. And although Jared Goff, he is the veteran, he is the proven guy, he also proves that he's not really a franchise quarterback. He can win you a lot of games if his complementary parts are really good. And I think they're getting better in Detroit, but it doesn't seem like he's the long-term answer quarterback for them. So I think this can be another quasi-rebuild year for the Lions. This game is competitive, though. And I think Jalen Hurts, this is the time for him to prove that he's taking that next step, that he's proving the doubters wrong, and he can be the difference maker in Philadelphia instead of kind of like Jared Goff, just being raised by the sum of his parts. So I do like the Eagles here. However, I do not have the Eagles covering. This is going to be a close one. I think Jalen Hurts, in the end, pulls it out. So I have the Eagles winning this game 23-20 on the road.
Well, yeah, Lewis, let me just remind you, last time we did see Jalen Hurts was in a playoff game last year against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he did not look too good. So we'll see how he starts the season off. Maybe, sneaky MVP season for him, based on a lot of people are talking about this Eagles team. But give me the Eagles in this one. It's not going to be as close as you say. I'm going to say 24-17 for the Eagles.
Good pick.
Moving on to another 12 o'clock game, we have the New England Patriots going to Miami to play the Dolphins. Miami -3.5 in this one, and that's kind of low for a line when you talk about this Patriots team, how bad they played during this preseason, how bad Mac Jones has looked, and their roster, which we talked about in our last episode, which really doesn't have that many good skill players compared to this Dolphins team, which they brought in Tyreek Hill over the offseason. And we've seen the development of Tua, during this whole training camp and how he's been progressing. So, what do you think about this -3.5 line?
It seems low. You're right, and all the offseason non-football stuff would make it seem like this game should be nowhere close to this. But that's exactly what it is, Rob. It's non-football. It's just banter during the offseason, people hyping up the new fun teams and kind of bring down the old established teams. So I think Vegas and the moneymakers, they understand that even though there is a talent difference, you still have to factor in the Patriot way, the Patriot factor, and that no game against the Patriots is going to be easy until we see it. Maybe when they play again later in the season, it'll be Dolphins favored by 13 points or something like that. But until we see that, until you can prove Bill Belichick wrong, I think it's unfair to make this game a blowout early on. And I do still like the Dolphins in this matchup. I think the talent is just apparent. Apparently, it's going to be like 95 degrees in Miami, scorching hot for this game. And then you have a team, and they did come down. The Patriots came down to Miami to get some practice in early during this week. I think they arrived Tuesday. So they have some reps in that heat, but nothing can prepare you for that type of heat coming down at Miami. It's always been a tough place for the Patriots to play. So I do like the Dolphins winning this game. All those new offseason splashes and moves, I think they're going to pay off in a spectacular way. I have them winning this game 31 to the Patriots 7.
Ooh. We do.
Oh, what's
Upset
that?
alert. Upset alert.
Upset.
Upset alert. I'm taking the Patriots in this one. I know we discussed how bad their roster is, but let me give you two words, Mr. Butler. Bill Belichick. All right. Head coach of the Patriots going up against Mike McDaniel, rookie head coach from the 49ers. I think, despite this Dolphins roster, that he's just going to be out coached by a better head coach and Bill Belichick. This is going to be a really tight one, in my opinion, down in Miami. Give me the Patriots 20-17.
Yeah, you're right. Bill Belichick, he's a tough cover. Tyreek Hill's gonna have a tough time burning Bill Belichick up there. But yeah, whatever you say. Moving on, we have the Baltimore Ravens traveling to New York to play the New York Jets. Ravens favored by only 7 in this game, and a lot of odds makers kind of make these games have smaller lines because we don't know what the teams are. And like I said earlier, the bad teams don't know they're bad. But in this particular game, Laraib, how big of a loss, or is it a loss, for Zach Wilson? He's going to be out for the first 4 weeks, so he will not be playing in this game. What does this mean for the Jets and their offense?
Well, as always with a rookie quarterback, I think after, they put him in for his first season, you want to see him come into a second season and you want to see how he improves, right? You want to see how his chemistry grows with his receivers. They drafted Brees Hall. You want to see how the chemistry with the offensive line builds with the new quarterback. But with him being out, it's going to be bad for his development. But Joe Flacco is going to be taking his place in this game, and it's a revenge game for Mr. Flacco. So we might see some flashes of old greatness from him in this one. But yeah, it's bad for Zach Wilson that he's not going to be out there with his team for the first couple of weeks, but he'll be back later in the season. We'll see how he goes with his team. But as for this game, I think this Jets roster is also lacking in a lot of positional players, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And the Ravens, a lot of people are on the up and up about them this season. Lamar Jackson was MVP 3 years ago. Let's see what he can do this season with a fully healthy roster. So I like the Ravens in this one, Lewis.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter who's behind center, in my opinion. Even if it was Zach Wilson, the talent mismatch is a huge thing. And this is Lamar's, this is time to prove that he's deserving of all that guaranteed money that he's looking for. And he's going to be on a revenge path this game. And unfortunately, the Jets are going to be that sacrificial lamb for him and his quest for $250 million guaranteed dollars. So I love the Ravens. I'll get into this game will be part of my best bets later, but I think the Ravens win here and they win big. Give me 42-13. The Ravens.
I have to agree with you. I'll take the Ravens. I'm going to say 31-10.
Nice. All right, moving on now. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to Washington to play the Commanders. The Commanders are 2.5-point favorites at home. The line is 44. This game's really interesting to me because it seems like a lot of the public is you're always looking for your upsets during the week, right? You go through and you're like, man, that's this team. It's just obvious they're gonna win. I'm not gonna get cute. This is the public's favorite upset with the Jaguars over the Commanders, and there's good reason. Commanders, a lot of negative things about this offseason. Backup running goes down. There's questions about the owner. There's a lot of questions about the organization in general. However, an underrated storyline is Carson Wentz versus the Jaguars.
And here we go.
You brought it up. Last year, his final regular season game, he had a really bad game in the playoff clinching game against the Jaguars, in which he lost. And he's a human like the rest of us. So you can have bad games, you can have bad performances, but like humans and the indomitable human spirit of Carson Wentz, you come back with revenge. All offseason, when he saw the schedule come out, he saw Jaguars week 1. He was licking his lips. He wanted this game more than any other game. And I promise you, Laraib, he is going to lay it down on this Jaguars defense, which really is probably one of the worst defenses in the NFL. They really don't have that many difference makers at all. Young secondary, their defensive front really doesn't impress me that much at all. I think Carson Wentz makes a huge statement. Now, I think Trevor Lawrence has a good game in this one as well. Might have some shootout potential, but I think he is on a personal mission to win this game. So give me the Commanders. with a offensive statement, 35 to the Jaguars. Let's say 28.
And I have to completely disagree with you. Let me give you two words, Mr. Butler. Doug Peterson, head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. If anybody's looking out for revenge, it's him. I don't think Carson Wentz has ever had a mission goal in his entire life, first of all. Okay. And second of all, Doug Peterson, he also circled his game on his calendar. Oh, Carson Wentz thinks he's a tough guy. Moving from team to team, keep on getting second chances, huh? No. Doug Peterson is the real one on the revenge tour here. And, Trevor Lawrence, I'm excited to see what he can do this season, along with a lot of other people, including you, Mr. Butler. And they brought in some new guys. They signed a new wide receiver. Travis Etienne is coming off his injury. He's going to be good to go week 1. James Robinson is going to be good to go week 1. So I agree with you. This is going to be a shootout, Mr. Butler, but it's not going to be the outcome that you're expecting. Give me the Jaguars in this one. I think this is going to be a really fun game to watch. Give me the Jaguars 27-24.
I guess I should have been on the radar for the Doug Peterson against Carson Wentz revenge tour. Moving on, again, another game, the last game of the 12 o'clock slate. We have the Cleveland Browns traveling to Carolina on the Panthers. Carolina favored by 1.5. And Rob, my question for you is, does Baker Mayfield's emotions serve as a benefactor for the Patriots or for the Panthers, or more of a detriment in this game?
I think it's going to be a benefactor for him. We've seen him throughout his career. It's whenever people are doubting him the most is when he plays his best. So a lot of people are doubting him. A lot of people saying bad stuff about him this offseason. They had a quarterback competition, which was honestly a little bit embarrassing for Baker Mayfield to be competing with Sam Darnold for QB1. So there's a lot of stuff on his back. So I expect him to come out and perform. And even if he doesn't perform, I just don't think this Browns offense with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback will be able to put up that many points against this Panthers defense. I know Matt Rule, his ass is on, the hot seat right now to win. His past couple of seasons in Carolina had not been good. So I expect this Panthers team to come out, really high octane on offense and on defense. This -1.5 spread is a little scary to me. Lewis, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, the spread itself, I think, is intriguing because I'm with you. I like the Panthers in this matchup. I just think their defense is very underrated. You get J.C. Horn back, who was injured last season, who was impressive as a rookie when he did play. And they have a lot of Derek Brown. You have Brian Burns, Shaq Thompson. You have a pretty good underrated defensive front.
Hey, don't forget our guy, Jeremy Chin.
Jeremy Chin, our boy. But yeah, they were pretty good against the run last year. And that's all the Browns offense can be able to do. Now, I don't think they're going to stop the Browns running game, but they're going to do just enough to where they're going to put the game in Jacoby Brissett's hands. And if I'm Matt Rule, that's exactly what I want to do. That's the exact game plan I want, because I do not trust Jacoby Brissett with the lack of weapons he has on the outside to beat this Carolina Panthers defense. And talking about the Panthers offense, you have a superstar in McCaffrey who will be healthy week 1, a superstar in DJ Moore, who's one of the more underrated receivers who just gets 1,200 yards consecutively each season, but goes under the radar because of bad quarterback play. And this is Baker's moment to shine, and I think he will. So I like the Panthers in this game. I think it's going to be a kind of a lower scoring game, but I have the Panthers it's going to be low scoring, but it's going to feel like a domination. I'm going to go 24-16.
I have to agree with you. I like the Panthers this one. Maybe the Browns, I like the Panthers in this one. If the Browns can really get that run game going and then set up the play action, maybe Jacoby Brissett can do something, but probably not, most likely not. So give me the Panthers in this one. I'm going to agree with you. It's going to be a little bit lower scoring game with that Browns defense keeping the Panthers honest. So give me the Panthers in this one, 21-13. But moving on to the 3 o'clock slate, at 3:25, we have the New York Giants going up against the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee -5.5. Lewis, what do you have to think about the Giants acquisition and head coach Brian Daboll this offseason?
I think he's a really good option, and I think he's going to be the best head coach they've had since Tom Coughlin. I just like the energy he brings. I like the intensity he brings. But the big thing for me in this particular game, and honestly for this whole season, is this really isn't his roster or his quarterback for that instance. And I think it's going to take a few years a few drafts for him to really hit and find his guys for the team he wants to build. We saw how successful he was in building or being a part of that building of the Bills offense of last year. So I think it's going to be a struggle with him. I do like Saquon coming back this season. I think he's going to use a lot of creative ways for Saquon to be effective in this offense. But the handicap of Daniel Jones as your quarterback is just not going to do it for me in this game. I think the Titans defense is still underrated. I don't really like the Titans offense, but they're going to do just enough to win this game. Give me the Titans in this one. I'm going to go at home. I'm going to go 26 to Giants 20.
You have to agree with you. Daniel Jones, he's always had his issues with fumbling the ball and ball control in general. And the Titans, Derrick Henry coming off his injury last season, he was on pace to break the rushing to be the all-time rushing leader in a single season. So look for him to get back on pace week 1 against the Giants, especially when they lose their starting linebacker and Blake Martinez, one of their leaders on the defensive side of the ball. So give me the Titans this one. I know they lost AJ Brown, but Robert Woods, underrated receiver. He was having a good season last year, even with Cooper Kupp on the Rams. So look for him to get active in this game. And Treylon Burks, the guy they traded AJ Brown for, let's see what he can do. So give me the Titans in this one at home. It's going to be 27 to 14.
All right. For the next game, we have the Green Bay Packers traveling to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Packers favored by 1.5 on the road. I really like the Vikings in this matchup, and I like them for the fact that I think their offense and defense are finally at a complete standard where they have the special playmakers in the offense. Like we know Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen's the healthiest he's been in years, he says. Justin Jefferson, Irv Smith is going to be back from injury. So you have a lot of weapons on that offense. And you also bring in a head coach and Kevin O'Connell, who comes from Sean McVay, who's a huge part in Cooper Kupp having the successful breakout season he had last year. So you can expect a lot of the same in terms of getting favorable matchups on Justin Jefferson and getting Adam Thielen into space. I think those two are going to have a really special year together. And I think for this Packers defense is going to be really good, so it's going to be a tough matchup. But if you get Justin Jefferson on the mismatches against some of those linebackers, get him away from Jair Alexander, you're going to find success in this game. And for the Packers offense, I do like their running game, but it just the question of the outside receivers. There's been a lot of question marks just around this offense. Their offseason was kind of weird. So this is a huge game for the Vikings because you need to win your home games against divisional opponents early in the season, because later in the season, if you can if it comes down to a split, you want to have the home game so you don't end up a game that you need later on in the season to potentially clinch a division. You don't want to have to go on the road to clinch that. You'd rather have the home game secured. So I think the Vikings would come out urgent, and they need this one. They need this one a lot more than the Packers do. So give me the Vikings in this one. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a really good game, but I'm going to have the Vikings in this one 31 to 28.
Yeah, Lewis, this is going to be one of the games of the weeks, in my opinion. I think this is the closest line of the week. Two divisional opponents going at it. And, we've seen Aaron Rodgers dominate this division year after year after year. But I have to agree with you. And I think you and I both have money on the Vikings winning the division this year. And it starts right here at home against the Packers. They lost Devontae Adams, and they're going to be there's going to be a lot of emphasis on that run game. But I think the Vikings, the weapons they have on the offensive side of the ball are some of the best in the whole NFL. So give me the Vikings in this one. It's going to be a really tight game. It's going to be really fun to watch. Give me the Vikings, though, 28 to 24.
Nice. All right. So moving on, we have the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Arizona to face the Cardinals. The Chiefs are 6-point favorites on the road. A road home dog and a team like the Cardinals who made the playoffs last year, it's hard to use. 6 points seems like a lot, but this Chiefs team is on a mission this year. And when I tell you they hear all the noise, they understand what happened to them in the AFC Championship last, one of the worst second halves we've ever seen out of Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, game that they've ever played. So I think this is the time when they set their mark. This Cardinals defense, you lose Chandler Jones, you lose a few guys in the middle of that defense who are playmakers for you. No DeAndre Hopkins in this game either. I think this is a game where the Chiefs kind of flex their muscle. Patrick Mahomes, we know how much of a gamer he is in September. I don't think he's ever lost a game in September. So this is a game for the Chiefs to kind of flex their muscles and show the rest of the league, hey, we're still here. Don't go and anoint the Bills and anoint the Chiefs. We are still here, and we're here to send a message. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, but the Chiefs' dominant offense will pull out in the end. And so I like the Chiefs in this one. 51 to Cardinals 31.
Well, Mr. Butler, do not sleep on the Cardinals in this one. You talk about a team that's good to start off the season. It's the Arizona Cardinals. The new Call of Duty doesn't come out until later, in October.
That's true.
So Kyler Murray is going to be on his MVP stretch, at least for the first couple of games of the season. And, D-Hop is going to be out, but Marquise Brown, he and Kyler had a connection way back in college. So I don't like the Cardinals in this game, but I'm just playing.
Come on.
Give me the Chiefs in this one. I think it's going to be a high scoring game, like you were saying. The Cardinals, they could eke this one out, but I think Vegas with the -6 odds or the -6 spread know what they're talking about. Give me the Chiefs in this one. It's going to be fun. 35 to 28.
Okay, so you still have the Chiefs covering.
Vegas knows what they're talking about.
Okay.
Moving on to the 325 games, we have the Las Vegas Chargers playing against the Las Vegas Raiders playing against the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers -3, and my boy Justin Herbert coming out, putting on an MVP type performance in Week 1. He's getting his revenge against the Raiders after what happened last season. They could have gone for the tie. They called that timeout, and they could have gone to the playoffs, but we saw what happened. And this is going to be a big game for them. Also playing against a divisional opponent Week 1 at home, and we saw how tight this AFC race is going to be. And so this is going to be a really, really important game for them to pull out at home. And they have the roster to do it, right? They bring in Khalil Mack, they bring in J.C. Jackson. The offensive side, we know they're loaded, and so give me the Chargers in this one, Lewis.
This Chargers offense. Don't get me wrong. My biggest concern in this game for them is their run defense, which I talked about last episode. I don't really think they addressed it in the off season. They bring in the big splashy names, J.C. Jackson, who I don't think is going to play in this game. There's questions about his availability. And if he doesn't play, then that's a huge advantage for the Raiders. But I think Josh Jacobs is going to have a really good game on the ground. And if they can get this ground game set up, get confidence in that offensive line, Derek Carr in the play action pass with a weapon like Devontae Adams, I think that's going to be huge for this offense. And defensively, all they need to be able to do, and they got the horses. They have Max Crosby and they have Chandler Jones. And getting to Justin Herbert is going to be key in this game because we know Justin Herbert, he likes to play hero ball, and trust me, he should. He is the best player in this offense. But if they keep going and it leans on a game where he has to come back, I think they have the superior edge rushers in this game. And I know that's saying a lot because on the other side you have Bosa and Mack. But if the Raiders can establish that run and kind of eliminate Bosa and Mack, I think they have a good chance of winning. In fact, I do have the Raiders winning. You say it's a road game, but I guarantee there's going to be more Raiders fans in that stadium than Chargers fans. So give me the upset. I'm going to go with the Raiders in this one. Lower scoring game than you might think just because of the ball control by the Raiders, but I'm going to go 28-20 Raiders.
You tell me Justin Herbert is only going to score 20 points. That's 24. Blasphemy. That's blasphemy, in my opinion. All right. I'm going to take the Chargers in this one. My boy Jay Herbo starting off the MVP season strong. The Chargers 31 to the Raiders 27. But moving on to the Sunday night game, Tampa Bay Buccaneers visiting the Dallas Cowboys in Arlington, Texas. Tampa Bay -2.5 in this one. Lewis, what do you have to say about this game?
It's tough. This game is 2.5 points, and it's kind of crazy to think it's that close because these are both teams that have had some pretty bad injury luck in the offseason. But all in all, it's Tom Brady versus Dak Prescott. I think the Buccaneers have by far and away the better offense and by far and away the better defense in this matchup. I love Micah Parsons. I like Trayvon Diggs. But outside of that, they don't really have the horses up front to really, stop that running game with Leonard Fournette. And they just don't have, Brady has so many weapons. And yes, if they can get to Tom Brady, if Micah Parsons can be an absolute monster, he is the biggest X factor in this game. If he can show that Defensive Player of the Year jump and have a huge impact in this game, then it's going to play a huge impact and stopping this Buccaneers offense. I don't think he's going to have that big of an impact. I think Tom Brady's too smart and too experienced of a quarterback to let him take advantage of this specific game. So give me the Buccaneers in this game. It's going to be close, I'll say that, but I'm going to go with the Buccaneers still covering. I'm going to go 31-20. Give me the Bucks.
And I'm going to lean onto the other side. Exactly what you're saying, Lewis. Micah Parsons, I'm going to look for him to turn up this game. The Buccaneers, the offensive line lost a lot of key pieces this offseason. And, I don't know if Chris Godwin is going to play week 1. Julio Jones is on the latter half of his career. And so Mike Evans versus Trevon Diggs, that's also going to be a key matchup to look at. And, I like the Cowboys. They're going to be at home, a fully healthy Zeke with Tony Pollard, with a CeeDee Lamb at wide receiver 1. I like what they can do this year. I know they lost their offensive lineman, Trayvon Smith, but they bring in Jason Peters. Let's see what he can do, even though he's 40 years old. I mean, goddamn, what is he going to do? But let's see what Cowboys can do. Let's go, boys. It's going to be a big season for them. Mike McCarthy, last year we saw what happened against the 49ers in the playoffs. That was a bad look for them. But look for them to get off to a hot start this year, playing against the Buccaneers, just like they did last year in week 1. They had a heartbreaker loss to a walk-off field goal, but they're going to win it this year. Give me the Cowboys 31-28.
Wow. Okay. I like that. And let's move on to our final game, a game that is near and dear to your heart as a Seahawks fan of the past decade. We have the Russell Wilson return. A lot of emotions for my co-host here, so he might not want to talk about it for too long. But just tell me how you're feeling about this game in general.
Listen to this scenario, Mr. Butler. Fourth quarter, 2 minutes left to go. Seahawks punt the ball to the Broncos. The Broncos are at their own 2-yard line. Down, said Hutt. The snap goes over Wilson's head. It's in the end zone. Seahawks recover for a touchdown against the Broncos. Super Bowl 50, all over 48, all over again. The Seahawks win it in stunning fashion at home. And then I wake up from my, after school nap, and we lose by 14 to the Broncos. We're just going to be outclassed in this game. The Broncos, they have Super Bowl aspirations this year. They bring in Russ. They have a talented, offense, and that defense is a little underrated in my opinion. A lot of people don't know that a lot of their defensive players aren't household names like Justin Simmons, but they have a lot of good guys on there. And so Russ has always been a first half of the season quarterback. We've seen him have MVP caliber first 8 games, then he trails off a little bit towards the end of the year. But he starts off the season hot, and having a revenge game against the Seahawks on the road in Seattle, I think it's going to be an emotional game for him, and he's going to come out flying.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Seahawks offense might have more success than you might think. I think if they get their running game going, then they're going to have some success in the play action game. And there is a good chance. They have 2 really good running backs in Kenneth Walker and Rashad Penny. They've made improvements to their offensive line, drafting Charles Cross, and just overall improvement of the rest of the offensive line. So I think they can do things. They can move the ball, but it's just the question of, can they match this high-powered Broncos offense, which, like you said, it's Russell Wilson. Has something to prove. This is going to be a huge game for him, and he's not the type of quarterback to let these type of things get to him. So I do have the Broncos winning this game. I'm going to go Denver 28 to Seattle 20.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. Let's take the Broncos in this one. I'm going to say a little bit lower scoring, just because, maybe Russell Wilson, the bright lights get to him. But give me the Broncos 24, Seahawks 17.
All right, and that will conclude our picks for the week. We agreed a lot. We had a few disagreements here and there. But before we go, we're going to go ahead and discuss our upset, lock, and our best bets for the week. I'm going to go first this week. I picked the upset. As y'all heard, I like the Raiders going into Los Angeles and beating the Chargers. I really like this offensive additions. I like the head coach, McDaniels. I like what he brings to this team offensively. I think they're going to have a really good, surprising running game this season. And I think that's the Chargers' only weakness on their team. And I think it's going to be exposed in this week. It'll be a good thing for them in the long run. But I do have the Raiders as my upset.
All right, I'm gonna go next with my lock. I'm gonna go with the Kansas City Chiefs up against the Arizona Cardinals. Like you're saying, Lewis, Patrick Mahomes, he really doesn't lose in September like at all. And I think they just have a better roster than the Arizona Cardinals. So give me the Chiefs on the road against the Cardinals. That this one could be a huge upset, but I like the Chiefs in that one.
Yeah, I agree with you with that. But my lock, I am going with the New Orleans Saints going on the road as well to Atlanta, a team they know all too well. And I just don't think I like some of the pieces on this Atlanta Falcons offense, but I don't think it's nowhere near enough to best this Saints defense. And I think the Saints offense shows some of its firepower as well. So that's why I like them to beat the Falcons.
Yep, I have to agree with you on that one. And moving on to my upset of the week, it's going to be the New England Patriots going down to Miami. This is going to be a difficult game. The Patriots have struggled in Miami in the past, but I think Bill Belichick, we've seen him outcoach, Brandon Staley last year. The Chargers had a way better roster than they did, and he still was able to outclass Brandon Staley. So I think he can do the same to rookie head coach Mike McDaniels.
All right. And then finally, our best bets of the week. I'm going to keep it short and simple. I told you how much I like the Ravens. No matter who the Jets quarterback is, this team has something to prove. Lamar has something to prove. Ravens -7 on the road. They're going to dominate. I think it's going to be a lot more than that, but I'm going to stick with the spread. Ravens -7. They're absolutely going to cover.
All right. And my best bet of the week is going to be a FanDuel boosted bet. We have Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, and Al Robinson all playing tonight. Rams versus Bills. This is a boost from 105 to 170. I think that's great odds, especially with these two high-flying offenses, Matt Stafford and Josh Allen. We know they both have cannons. So plus 170, go ahead and lock that in for me on FanDuel.
All right. And that'll wrap it up for this week's podcast. Again, all of our socials are going to be in the links below in the bio. Anything else you want to say before we head off this episode?
Well, I just want to say this is week 1 of a new season in the NFL. And, hindsight from last year is going to say, oh, this team is going to be good. This team is going to be good. Or preseason hype is going to say, this team is going to be awesome. But, week 1 in the NFL, anything can happen. A lot of new personnel for teams, a lot of new head coaches, a lot of new players. And, I'm predicting a lot of our predictions might be off by a lot or a little. But, week 1 of the NFL, it's going to be an exciting season, everybody. And I'm here. You guys are riding with us.
And we are extremely excited to be with you along the way. But I think we'll do it for us today. This is Lewis Butler signing out.
Catch y'all later.